Welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Property Podcast. My name is Stephen Clark and I'm joined as always with Nick Ponte. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, what's happening this week? Who have we got on?
So this week we've got a special lady on. We have got our very own Trish Crooks, who is the host of the Aberdeen networking event. She's doing phenomenal things up in Aberdeen, but what I kind of felt really compelled to get her on the podcast was that she's currently project managing 10 renovations, including a couple of my own, and how she's dealt with it in the last year from when she kind of first moved to Aberdeen, started a new area. She's building up her own trades. The first one she got hit was a complete horror fucking story, horror story, and she goes into details on that. But what I find very impressive is her resilience, that she's kept her integrity, head held high, and dug deep, and now she's built up a fantastic team in Aberdeen, where right now they've got 10 renovation projects on and more looming in and more coming in. So it was good to get on and chat over renovation, wasn't it?
Yes, I would say a very determined woman, and I love talking to Trish. Just loads of experience, loads of insight. I mean, she's got an interesting life as well, which we never really got into that much, but she lived in Dubai for 11 years, I think, working for a big property developer out there. Obviously from Glasgow originally, moving up to Aberdeen to a brand new city where she didn't have any contacts, building up, a team of tradesmen, and now she's got 18 refurbs on the go at the one time or something like that. Man, and we talked about she took on a challenge from you, I believe, and it was I think you set a goal of completing one of your refurbs in 10 days, was it?
So I had an evaluation being done and literally in 10 days, and the tenant had just moved out. And it was only flat in that 6 properties that were getting a new portfolio product on it that needed renovated. So I think she took it quite half-arsely, jokingly, but then she realised that, you know what, this is quite a cool opportunity. I'm going to try and rise to this challenge, and she did. She was dressed in the property when I was walking up the stairs with a surveyor, so she pulled it off, and it was a decent sized refurb. So she's now got this cracking team in place, but she does give good tips as well of where to source the right materials, how to arrange it, how to kind of keep track of your project spend, your budgets versus what you're actually spending. So really good interview.
And it's interesting how you're a client of hers and she's a client of yours as well. So she obviously came in your workshop.
Aye, absolutely. And this is what I love about it. The workshop is I can bring in people that I can work in closely that they've got a great attitude, that we can work together in business and pass business back and forward. Yeah. So she come on my workshop. She's part of my mastermind group, but she's pretty much my sole project manager in Aberdeen for our renovations as well, and it's fantastic. Honestly, it takes the pressure completely off me, as we're talking about in the interview as well. So she's a great member of the team to have on board.
Brilliant. Let's cut to the interview with Trish.
Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast, Trish Crooks. You told me this was one of your goals to get on the podcast when you first started in property, Trish, and you're on it. So
thank you very much.
Well done, and thanks for joining us. So, Trish, the listeners, and obviously Nick that doesn't know you as well as I do, can you give a wee bit of background on kind of what you got up to before started into property? Because it was later on, it wasn't an early start.
Well, wait a minute, hang on, before you start that story. I do actually know you, Trish, because we met on a drunken night out a couple of weeks ago in Edinburgh where we had our wee get-together, so we got a wee chat there, and I believe that I shook hands with you on a deal in Aberdeen, which I don't actually recall, so...
There's witnesses.
And people who know me well will not believe this, but actually I was on a sober night and you were all on a drunken night out. Because if you remember, I had the car.
Oh, that's right. You were driving.
That was the first time this maybe century, but never mind. So yes, we did shake on a deal, but
okay, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, getting back to your story.
Well, obviously I started in property a few years ago, but I have historically been in and out of property in various different guises for a long time. I think I first became a landlord in 1999, 2000. And I worked for house builders at the time, so again worked in property, so new house builders, and bought a couple of properties with a friend at the time, and just rented them out. Then decided we sold them just before the crash, and I had moved overseas at this point. I'd moved to Turkey, which was horrendous, bought property there and lost it. But anyway, we'll skip over that one.
And I think you're not going to dig into that story.
Yeah, Nick had bought it. I think Nick, you were Bulgarian, had a horror story. So
Aye, that's right. Did you go to one of these things and like it was?
No, I actually went on holiday and then
Oh, did you?
decided I liked it, and I bought again with the same friend, bought a property. But at the time we couldn't get the title, which was standard there in the country at the time. But the owner, who I then went out to work for because I just wanted a wee adventure, I'd get divorced and different things, and went over to work for him but didn't get paid. So very quickly came home,
Right.
went out to the Middle East, went on holiday for 3 months and stayed in Dubai for 11 years to the day, and worked for the largest privately owned property developer in the Middle East, Damak.
Oh, cool.
Worked for them in a customer service role, and then moved from there to various different jobs and roles, facilities management, stuff like that, and then moved in from facilities and business services into projects, and did my project management training and worked on global projects for an oil company, or oil and maritime. And then got made redundant, so came back to the UK 2018, did a couple of refurbs for family, and did one with a friend, and sort of was still working, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was working just in temporary contracts, and then decided during, I was just about to buy a couple of buy-to-lets in February 20, just as the pandemic, so I panicked and was like, what am I going to do? Because there was all these uncertainties, because you could see the world starting to close down. So I didn't do it, but then decided that I would do some property training, and I did some training in Glasgow, and sort of immersed myself in trying to learn as much, and that whole overwhelm and the whole imposter syndrome and stuff. And despite having training, I still came out of it thinking there's a lot that I don't know. And I was following you guys. I think if I actually started following you first, Nick, and was following your content and stuff. And
See, this is where I think that's a missed opportunity, because if I had a property course to sell you, then I could have made a sale. Kidding on.
But I got the sale, thanks.
Yeah. So I had been following Stephen, I think, for maybe 6-7 months or something, and they were doing loads of refurbs, and they were doing Bridge of Erne, they were doing Kinross, they were doing all the stuff in Aberdeen, and I could see that he was doing it on a daily basis, whereas other training companies weren't. And I sort of just decided, I know that I've already spent on training, but I want myself in his network. So there we go. I joined.
Now you regret that.
So wait a minute. Yeah. She started following me, right? She started following my content, and then realised it was shite. Then went on to Stevens and thought, oh, he knows what he's talking about more than that other guy.
No. So I decided to book myself on Stephen's course, just simply, and I don't mean this in any other way, but it was more about network for me. I wanted to put myself in front of Stephen, where I knew it would be a smaller content. I would be able to sort of on a one-to-one basis almost be able to pick your brains and just see what you were doing on a daily basis, because I knew that that was what I wanted to be doing. And so I joined the course, and
2 years ago you had 2 goals. One was to come on the podcast, and one was to do a joint venture with me. But tell the listeners and Nick that you just bumped me for a joint venture.
So I've actually just secured a flip project, an amazing flip project in Aberdeen. So it's actually just been submitted for build warrant at the moment.
Was that the ones that I shook hands with you on that night?
No. We were getting the
But no, this is a 4-bedroom in a really, really good location in the West End.
Nice.
Secured it at a great price. It was on the market, so it's sitting in clear sight. And that's the thing, it's about Aberdeen has a very different marketplace to the rest of the UK, and
So
there are opportunities.
Let me take you back actually on that, because you kind of uprooted your life from Glasgow, obviously, a while ago to go to Aberdeen, didn't you?
Yeah, you had said on, you know, when we talked on the course and subsequently about the opportunities in Aberdeen, and you're like, well, why don't you even come up? And I'm a bit of a naturally nomadic sort of gypsy type person anyway. I sort of move about regularly, so I just uproot and go. So I decided to come up, I think January 2021. I came up for a week, and I actually secured a deal in the first week. In fact, it was one you took from me, Stephen and Sam. And so I just thought, I was carrying on going backwards and forwards for a number of months, and then decided that Aberdeen was where I had opportunities that, you know, aligned themselves with what I wanted to be doing on a daily basis, and decided that it wasn't really serving me going between the two, because you've got family that you're not able to sort of spend the right kind of time with, because you're feeling you're trying to do work at the same time as being home, and you know, you're spending half your time going up and down, driving up and down and stuff. So I made the decision to move up to Aberdeen full time, which I did last summer. And since then, it's, you know, I was also, during that time of coming up and down, and you know this story, Stephen, I had a project that went horrendously wrong. So, you know, nothing in property is always, you know, sunshine and roses. We see you know, everybody sees, you know, everything on social media and thanks God they're doing really well. But the reality is that there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And I think that every single thing that could go wrong went wrong on one. This
is what I wanted to delve into today, and this is why I really wanted you on, because right now you've got what, 10 projects on the go, like 10 full renovation projects on the go, and there's more in the pipeline. I know personally that your target was something like 8 projects for our clients in the year. I think you're already at 16, and we're not even in the first quarter, and there's 10 to go.
There we go. Who's going split hairs over 2?
I really wanted to get you on to talk about, like, and give the listeners some value on how to manage refurbs effectively, efficiently. But I also kind of know that like you say, this doesn't go smoothly, and it didn't. The first one in Aberdeen didn't go smoothly. This was a bit of a nightmare project. So I know that we're going to pick up on this. So we might as well start with this one. Tell us about how this one went. How shit hit the fan, where it went wrong, what was the lessons learned, and obviously about the horror stories that can go wrong.
Yeah, well, this one was somebody that I knew that getting trades in Aberdeen was difficult. You and Chris were doing a lot of refurbs at the time, so I couldn't really come up to a new city and say, can I get your team, you know, because you guys have spent your time building your team up. So trying to find trades and stuff was difficult, and I made the decision. I'd built a relationship with a builder in Glasgow. I had been trying them out on smaller things, and you know, everything seemed to tick all the boxes and things like that. And so I had him come up to Aberdeen, and it was a very small project. He had given me a time frame which I didn't feel was the right kind of time frame. So, but he assured me that he would just, you know, absolutely throw everybody at it and get it done. I had given the client a longer time frame to build in for any eventualities, and things. The kitchen up very, very quickly. So we've seen that progress. Wall went up very quickly. We've seen that progress very quickly, and then everything just seemed to come to a halt. But it was story after story, and it was just getting horrendous. Anyway, long story, but safe to say, the client became involved. An investor of the client became involved. The relationship broke down between me and the builder. I was accused of many things. The client was speaking directly to the builder, so there were 3-way conversations which were going on, which were proven really stressful. I had 5 weeks of literally 6 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week. Like I had taken time out. I had taken temporary accommodation here because I was paying for accommodation. The client was very good and kept offering to pay for the accommodation and stuff because I was having to stay up longer to try and resolve the issues. And for me, it was about integrity. It was about, I've brought this person on, I've agreed to do this project, and that's what I'm going to do. Did it nearly kill me? Yeah, it was, because it genuinely was I can honestly say, the most stressful time, and having gone through a divorce and various different things, and I can honestly say it was the most stressful few weeks of my life.
We're talking about a 34 square metre one bed flat. It wasn't like a massive project, was it?
Yeah, but it was the whole thing. Like the plumbing wasn't in for the kitchen, but he'd fitted the kitchen, and I'm saying that, and he's outright calling me a liar. And it really didn't mean I'd taken photographs. I had other, developers come in and say, look, check this for me that I'm not doing something wrong, I'm not saying something wrong. Anyway, cut a long story short, he eventually was given a very clear deadline, but he decided to pull the plug on a Sunday evening about 11 o'clock because he was meant to have a hotel booking for his team to finish the works the following week, and that hadn't materialised. But that was, again, it was all blamed on me and stuff, and my integrity and everything was called into question, and that, I think, actually hurt me more than the actual stuff going on with the developer himself. Safe to say, we came out of that. There was a not quite a legal case, but there was compensation and stuff. So I felt that I was vindicated at the end. I got an apology from the developer, from the builder, and I just felt as if that was all I wanted from it, was for to say that I hadn't been wrong. But the lessons from that were not to take things at face value, to be checking and making sure that either if I'm not on site that photographs are taken. I mean, the things where there were joists cut out to put in a Durgo valve and not re-supported. The Durgo valve wasn't actually a Durgo valve, it was actually just a bit of plastic with a plastic cap on top. The actual valve was missing.
Hang on, what's a Durgo valve? Wait till I Google this. What are you talking about here? You've lost me. What is that?
It's in the toilet. It was part of the build warrant, so
Right.
we actually had to take a photograph of it, and I had actually been suspicious that it wasn't it was a photograph taken, it was just a stock photo. So I actually get the plasterboard taken back off to get the photograph to highlight that it was in that property.
My
So
God,
there's
what a
things
cowboy.
like
This
that.
guy sounds like a total cowboy. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, but do you know what? I've actually had a toast to him since then, because I think the lessons that have come out of it in terms of technically, now I feel much more confident when I'm walking around a site that, I know what I'm talking about in terms of the plumbing. And it's not, I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician, I'm not a joiner, and as my guys will allude to, but at the same time, I'm respectful enough that if I don't know something, that I have the support of them to tell me. And equally, I think I have their respect that I know enough that I can have the conversation and, well, but what if we try this, or what if we try that? And that, I'm not some idiot that doesn't know what I'm talking about, So if, like today, we were looking at a bathroom and there was furniture in, but it seemed quite far out, like the WC and the vanity. So it was like checking it to make sure what we can order, because it turned out that the original builder had built out there's a 4-inch pipe, so we can't get standard bathroom furniture. But we can do it by changing the worktop and making sure that it's a deeper worktop, so we can get standard furniture and just set it out from the wall. So we know that there's solutions and things like that. So it's the conversations that we can have that, I wouldn't have been able to have a year ago even. I just think that there's a lot of technical lessons there, but equally I can, there's a joke now about at the moment because I messed up on a straight and angled valve. Mike will love me for admitting this one, but a straight and angled TRV valve.
So we're getting technical again here, guys.
that we got, like, I got the wrong one 3 times. But in fairness, I did send him a photograph and say, is this the right one? And he just went, yeah, instead of looking at it. So
you must know your way well through a Screwfix catalogue now, Trish, then, talking about all these things. Then.
I do love my Screwfix, but I'm a big Trade Point fan at the moment because I've been getting great service there.
That's unbelievable. Talk us to that again before we move on. That horrible project that you started. You must have lost, I mean, a lot of confidence, taking a hit personally in your mental health, but you must have lost financial on that because you're taking a project management fee from that deal you'd sourced. So talk us through that implication as well, because it's important to highlight to people. It doesn't always go swimmingly and smoothly and you make money. You've took the integrity to take the hit on that.
Yeah, again, I think it was more, I wrote the project off financially, but what I wasn't prepared to do was write myself off financially or otherwise. And I just have this thing that I think the resilience was that I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there regardless. And I think because I'd quit my job as well, I forgot that little bit, that I just resigned. And I'm on my own, so I don't have somebody else that's paying my bills, but I had also quit my job, my full-time job, probably earlier than I should, but I think it was that, cut the bridge, cut the bridges and just go for it. So I think for me, the resilience was that I didn't have a backup plan, and I wasn't prepared to have a backup plan. So I was going to make it work. I knew that integrity-wise, I did the right thing. I was able to be transparent. And I think, like, with clients, I'm very transparent. Like, clients see every invoice, everything like that in terms of what I'm spending. I don't put markups on the materials and things. I pay purely a consultancy fee on it. And a lot of people will say I'm losing a trick. I could be making a lot more money. But for me, it's about building that brand, building me as a person and what I can do, building the team around me, because as much as and as I do say to the guys as well, it's very much about, yes, I might be the face of the team and what we're doing in Aberdeen, but without them, it's not possible for me. And without me, they're not getting that continuous repetitive work. They're, as they say, they don't have to go out and look for work. Because I'm bringing it in. So it's very much a team effort. When clients thank me, I always make sure that gets reciprocated back to them, and that the team are, rewarded and praised for that.
So
when clients
let's take it back then. After you're licking your wounds after this disastrous project, how have you done it in the last year to build up your team, where your team can quite happily deal with 10 refurb projects at any given time?
I think it's about relationships. Everything comes down to the people and stuff like that. And I think it's become a little bit like family, where you can have your bickers. It's not always roses and stuff like that. Somebody can have forgotten something, or these things happen, and you can get annoyed at somebody, or they can get annoyed at you because, like, the straight and the angled TRV valves or something. But it's done, it's said, and then it's on to the next one. But there's also that we each see it. We're all individuals. We all have our individual businesses, but we see it as moving on to the next one. So it's like, one of Mike, my plumber, has already sent me, somebody's approached him about a job, and he's like, oh, I've told them to get in touch with you, here's the details, this is what they're looking for. There's very much that it's a team effort. It's not about everybody wanting to work individually for themselves, as much as we are, and we do go above and beyond. And I know that my guys go above and beyond at times. They can drive me up the wall, they can have me as Mrs. Hinch sweep me up on site, but at the same time, there's that mutual respect for each other. And I think we all know the lines of how far we can go with that and stuff, but there's definitely a much better relationship. There's also trust in the work that they're doing, but at the same time, understanding from my perspective that I do need to have photographs, and I do need to have evidence of what we're doing, and it's about explaining that as well. It's about this isn't just about oh, I don't have time to take photos, or I don't have time to do this, or I don't have time to that. It's explaining, you know, why we need certain things done in a certain way.
So how did you change your processes then, so that the same mistakes didn't happen again and you didn't get burnt when you started building up a new team? You talked about photos there. Was it just a case of just being super strict and just saying, I need to see that that's been done? How did you make sure that the same problem didn't happen again, where the builder was basically pulling the wool over your eyes?
I think because I've still had a couple of issues since then, but now have a core team. And what I do now with the core team, when we need additions into that core team, instead of me getting in and out and bringing in a randomer, then what I do with the team is the team will bring one of their own trade in. So we've now got like a pool of 2 or 3 joiners that we can call in at any one time. But I have my core joiner who will be on every job, but we may then bring in, say, somebody to do the sheeting on one and somebody to do the flooring in another, or the doors on another, because one joiner can't do it all. And the thing about the plumber and the electrician, again, we have somebody that we can call in as and when we need them. And again, it's someone that's known to them, so they've built up that relationship as well. But rather than bringing new people into the team, it affects the dynamic. I've brought another painter in recently as well, so that we've got 2 different painters going on. And Aberdeen's a small place as well, so they all tend to know each other anyway. So this painter was only known to one of them at first, but then when he came on site, it was like, Christ, long lost. It's like, oh, you're so and so, and oh, your dad drinks in that pub, and you know, and it's just, so it's a very small place. So
fit like.
Oh my God, I was down in Glasgow at the weekend. My family were slagging me from Aberdeen things, because I'm like, morning, men.
You started picking up the local lingo already.
And I was saying that some of the boys are coming down to Glasgow next week for a stagger, and they're like, "What's a stagger?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, a stag do."
It's funny, isn't it? It's but I was interested as well, you know, like from going from that really bad experience you had to literally going back to nothing, to start out in a new place where you've got very few contacts. Probably you're having to build that team again. What do you literally do to build that up again? Do you have to go on Facebook, get in touch with people, reach out, websites? Any tips for the listeners to try and get?
I think it comes down to people, and don't get me wrong, actually one of the joiners, somebody else got through Facebook, and he's turned out to be a great find. But there was that reticence in me at the beginning, you know, it's like, it's that building up the trust. But quite quickly I could see that he was a good joiner, that he knew what he was doing, that he listened, that he, the work that he was putting out was very good, his care and attention to detail was very good. So that relationship developed quite quickly. I've also had a client bring in somebody from Facebook, I think it was, but turned out to be not so good.
Yeah,
he did the job and we finished, but you know, there were delays and things like that. And with a project, it's about coming in on time and on budget, and making sure that we're hitting both of those as much as we can. There will always be times where, recently we had a rotten lintel, so we had to stop work and have that taken out and new concrete put in, brickwork done, stuff like that. So these things can't be accounted for when you're doing a project budget. But I've recently taken on a virtual assistant just to help with the administrative side of it, so that she can be doing like the client side of it in terms of different works, client updates and things like that, project updates on files. And it means that I can concentrate more on the ordering and procurement side of it, and saving money as much where I can and what I can do, making sure that those orders are on site on time for the trades to go into the various different sites. And that's always a work in progress, because you know, the guys, you'll be like, right, give me your price, give me your materials list, and they're like, get the price. Where's your materials list? Right, okay. So we're working on, again, automating that. We're not quite there right just now, but we are trying to get that a lot more automated as well, because what we're working on is pulling everything together that's been ordered, say, in the last 4 or 5 projects, and breaking it down into trades, and say to the trades at the start of the project, there you go, tell us what you need. And it's basically 2 of this, 3 of that, you know, and make it a lot more automated. So there's things like that we're doing. I'm a bit old school as well. I always have my notepad with me. So it's things like, especially when you're doing 10 different projects, it's having those dividers, because before that I found that I'd be like going back like 30 pages trying to find the thing that I was looking for, because I hadn't had time to put it, because I then tend to transfer it into my notes on my phone. But I don't always, I know it's a bit sort of double time sometimes, but sometimes as you're walking about and you're talking and you pick up different things as you're walking about the project, you're just going to quickly write it down, you scribble it down, and then I can read it later and know what I'm talking about. So I then put it into my notes and into the project schedule.
Excellent.
So,
what were some top tips for your procurement, your materials, and where's the kind of the best cost effective places to get certain types of materials? Yeah, well, again, I have been using for kitchens, I go between Howdens, but more recently, because of the deals that they've had on, I've been using TradePoint, and I've built up a great relationship with the staff in TradePoint in Garthdee in Aberdeen. So hi Scott, Yvonne, Joe, Kyle.
Try and get them to download the podcast. That'll give us a few extra numbers.
But they've been fantastic recently, and been able to get me, like at the weekend I ordered three kitchens. A couple of weeks ago I did 4, because they had special offers on. If they have an offer on and you can get the availability of kitchens, then it makes a lot of sense. Okay, they come flat pack and not rigid, but price wise it's a no-brainer. You know, I'm getting a fully integrated with dishwasher and fridge freezer and stuff like that, kitchens for, and some of them have upgraded the kitchen to give it that better, you know, a better look. I did one recently, Union Grove, and for an investor, and that was a beautiful kitchen. It's been really well received, but I got that at a great price because I got it when there was a 20% discount on it, which allowed us to go for a better quality kitchen. So yeah, things like that.
That's interesting, that, because everybody, whenever you go on Facebook and all that, everyone's just like, oh, LNPG, magnet. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know, I've not been doing that many refurbs lately, but I don't know, I've just like scunnered with magnet. I just don't find them that great to deal with. So
magnet are bad in Aberdeen, because the nearest distribution place in Dundee, isn't it? And it takes a long week to get them.
And if you forget, you've missed something, so if you miss something on your order and you need to get it in, it's £100 delivery to come up.
I see that. It seems to take ages as well. Like, used to get kitchens through Howdens, and it was like, because they've got everything there, you just like literally you're just nipping in, back out again. But it seems to take ages with magnet. If there's something missing, there's always something missing. There's always something missing in my kitchen.
And to be fair, like with TradePoint, again, I have built up, I mean, I think I'm in the top 3 spenders in Aberdeen. So I have built a relationship that I actually have a lot of them on WhatsApp, and I just message and say, this is short, do you have it in stock? Okay, somebody will swing by and pick it up, or things like that. So it's, for me, it's a no-brainer as long as they have the quality, the quantity in stock at the time that I need it. But when they do offers, it's very hard to beat. But I also am a big fan of lighting from Amazon, and I do quite sort of design type lighting, but I don't think I pay more than about £30 for a light now. Things like showers and taps and shower trays I get from eBay as well.
What about these black taps that you seem to see popping up all over Aberdeen? I mean, I think half Aberdeen must have these kind of fancy black, and it's is that eBay, is it?
Yes.
That's brilliant, because they look really smart.
Yeah, well, we actually, Stephen, we priced up a bathroom the other day, didn't we? You were like, right, how much was this? How much was that? And I think yeah, it was
£700. It was your client, John Paul, who've got guest speaker in Glasgow event next month. Every time I post a picture of Trish's refurb she's done on a buy-to-let, John Paul's fucking straight on there. You know, kitchen fucking bathroom sales trying to get me to buy from his showroom. I'm like, mate, your bathroom is the same price as my whole bathroom suite. So we're chucking on Trish's prices on the cuff. Like, it was quite funny going back and forward.
Do they last all right? I'd be worried in case the paint starts chipping off them after the first 6 months or something like that. Do they seem to be all right, quite durable for the buy-to-lets and all that?
Yeah,
Aye?
the first time I put one in Aberdeen was last, when was it? Okay, no, July.
Right.
And I actually met the tenant because I actually know the tenant, and I bumped into him the other day. I was doing another refurb on the same street, and I bumped into him, and he's like, "Oh, how you getting on?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we're really busy. I'm doing one here and stuff." And he was like, "Oh well, mine's is still looking perfect," and that was a really, really nice one. For a client. That was the one that went wrong, and then we got a new contractor in, and it turned out to be a stunning property, even if I do say so myself. But no, it was a high-end one. So but black shower, black taps, yeah.
Part of the kind of pivotal point of you getting that team together probably was about, I don't know, was it 5 months ago when I got I landed you with a challenge, the 10-day refurb in a flat in the middle of Union Street, probably the worst place to do a renovation project in Aberdeen, with traffic and getting access for deliveries and materials. But the backstory was as I was doing a refinance on 6 flats, and the only one that hadn't been refurbed was one on Union Street, and the tenant gave their notice to quit just when the surveyor had phoned and says, "We'll book in the valuations for these 6 flats." So it was pretty much in 10 days' time. And I was like, "Can you refurb this in 10 days? Talk us through that one, how you managed to pull that one off then.
Well, it's sort of, we did it as like at first, I did take it as not a joke, but I was like, right, okay, it's a challenge. Will we do it? Don't think we'll do it, but like, let's go for it. And I did. I just got all the team together and was like, look, this is a great opportunity. It will stretch us, but do you think it can be done? And they were like, well, we'll give it a go. So that was first when I first did the trade point kitchen quickly, because before that I'd had problems getting stock. So I literally ran into the store, got all the sizes, ran into the store. It was like, what kitchen do you have in stock? What price? So got the kitchen. They didn't have the appliances. So whilst they were sorting that order, I ran to Curry's, ordered the appliances, said, can you get them delivered by this date?
And then what else when you're in Curry's? This is important.
Oh yeah, what I was so when
I've never met anyone that say the brass neck to ask somebody in a store like this for discount, but Trish does it. Like, this is brilliant.
There was a £60 off that she'd given me because I was taking 3 appliances and I was taking them within the week. And I was like, well, if I take all 3, is there anything else you can do? She gave me another 60 quid off. So I ended up getting the 3 appliances for like just over 900 quid.
Nice.
So yeah, did that. Ordered the cart, so just literally sat for a day, not a full day, but literally just, right, what do I need to get this done? Got it all ordered and where it could be, either next day delivery or whatever, or collect in store. Got the bathroom, the tiles, my poor wee car. I drive a Fiat 500 and you have no idea how much that actually
How did you manage to fit 3 appliances in that from Curry's?
It was the tiles.
And the kitchen.
Lifting them in and out. I swear to God, I was covered in bruises for the whole week, I think. And then, so yeah, it was just getting all the materials. We ripped out the bathroom. I've got a great guy who's like a little all-rounder. He does all my rip outs for me, takes all the rubbish away, does just different bits and pieces, and he's such a help. So he got everything ripped out, but when we ripped up the flooring, ripped out the bathroom and the floor tiles, there was rotten floor and subfloor, so that needed to get cut out. Some more materials had to get ordered, get that in, and yeah, just sort of work as much as we could getting. And the good thing was we were changing 2 of the rooms, so we were swapping over the lounge and bedroom. But other than the decor and carpet, we actually didn't have anything to do in those rooms. Once we get rid of all the smelly, disgusting furniture and carpets, one of the beds, well, still can get that smell in my nose. I'm like, ugh. Remember, we had to try and climb over the bed to get to the broken blind, and it was like, oh my god. Anyway, we did that.
You need to describe the smell. I'm trying to figure out what kind of smell you're talking about. Smell of
stained mattress would probably be the best word to describe it.
Yeah, honestly, it was disgusting. I think the sheets were, the duvet, don't think had been changed in the last 2 years or something.
Right.
You know how it was, yeah, it wasn't pleasant.
That was the day we had Charlotte Edwards up for the Scottish Property Podcast.
Yeah.
Is that where she stayed the night, was it? Is that where you put it up?
She couldn't help but grab the spray disinfectant and start spraying it. She said even the clearing products were there, but they'd never been used, so it was quite funny.
So we had a look round at the end, and just get everything ordered as quickly as possible, got everything onto site, so it was like daily. So I did spend a lot of time there, because I just made myself available that if Perry wasn't available to go and pick up stuff, then I could go and pick up stuff and make sure that we got it where it needed to be, if it was, additional materials.
So did you make the 10 days then?
We made the 10 days with it furnished as well, Nick.
What?
Trish was putting up our B&M furniture when I was walking up the stairs with the surveyor at like 10:30 on the Wednesday morning.
Oh God, that's brilliant. So like new kitchen, new bathroom, new carpets, redecoration?
And herringbone flooring to the lounge, bathroom and kitchen.
Wow.
And new decor throughout, and 2 new beds, which that actually, the funny thing is, the most stressful thing about it was the beds were due to come on the Saturday. We were due to finish on the Tuesday, and I had somehow managed to switch airplane mode on my phone. So I'd missed a call. So when I switched it back on, I got a voice message. So by the time I phoned them, they'd left Aberdeen. They couldn't find how to get into the main street in Aberdeen, right? Couldn't find their way in. Anyway, they had left to go to Inverness. So they said, oh no, we'll be back next Thursday. And I'm like, you cannot be back next Thursday. So I spent the Saturday on the phone to a bed supplier in Birmingham, and said, look, it's just not possible. Like, I know that you have a delivery day on Tuesday, I know that you have a delivery day on Monday. I need them here on Monday. And so she went back, I'll need to see my manager, blah, 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 went backwards and forwards, and then came back and said, yeah, we'll make sure that it's there. And I was like, right, okay. So we actually got the beds on time, but that was my most stressful, because I'm like, if I don't get the beds, then I can't dress the room,
I think you still, I mean, like, I would have thought, even if you didn't furnish it at 10 days to complete the refurb, that would have been an achievement, but furnishing it as well, that's brilliant.
But then it was, for me, it was like, not only are we going to do it, but if we can furnish it to a decent standard as well, and make it aesthetically look as good as possible, then that's what we would do. And it was possible, and it was just sort of give me a challenge and I'll push it further sort of thing. So
the next challenge is to get the tenant in on day 10, actually checking into the property. That'll be the next challenge. But I think
just not that I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but our latest refurb actually let without a viewing.
Brilliant. See, that's the thing. Once you start building up a name for yourself, people can rely on you to deliver, then, why not? I think you would be good in one of these programs, like DIY SOS or something like that. You'd be good at that. And I think you should do, generally, I'd love to kind of watch the process of that. So I know Stephen posted a few stories up on his Instagram, but you definitely need to document more, do more videos and stuff.
I know,
like that.
I've got to say, like Stephen knows, and obviously I'm older, so I'm not a fan of social media, but I do know that I have to go on it. And to be fair, I've got business from my social media and things like that. So, but
I guess if you've got 18 refurbs on the go anyway, you're like, well, I don't really need to promote myself. So that's
no, but it's not that, because it's continuing to, you have to keep continuing to have that pipeline. So I do, and I do through stories, but again, I brought on a virtual assistant, and one of the things I've tasked her with is that I'm going to pull together before and afters from all the projects that we've done over the last year, and then just start to sort of actually add them to my posts rather than just to stories, and just make some reels as well. So
yeah, that's great. I mean, I think like with your experience there as well, you've got like you get so much to give as well. I mean, even like do like a masterclass or a course or something like that for people that want to learn about doing project renovations and stuff like that.
Did Nick just advertise courses there and promote a course there?
Courses are good if you're basically paying the right people like yourselves who are doing the do in there day out, day in. I would pay to come on somebody like, oh, there's another deal, Trish. I'll pay to come on your course.
There you go, Trish. There's a great one for you. There's the new one.
Good type.
So,
no, my thing is, it's about focus on, what you're good at, and, continue doing that until you're fully successful. It's not like, I get that a lot of people say multiple streams of income and things like that, and that's all well and good. And I do have different streams of income because I'm a landlord, and I also have the project management side as well, and I'm building up on my own portfolio. I've got a flip coming on. So, but yeah, you can. I'm very open, and that's the thing that people will ask me questions, and I tell them a lot of information, and then I see them go away, and they're like, "All right, where'd you get that? Oh, that's where I told you guys."
And the plan is obviously you're building up your own team, the project management, the kind of the sourcing side of it. So you're providing that kind of bespoke service to clients that want to come to Aberdeen, buy a deal from you, get the thing fully project managed, hands off, be transparent with it. But you're also building up your own portfolio in Aberdeen as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So got a flat that's currently being refurbed, but it's that one always suffers because the others. To be fair, it's the plastering's mostly done. It's just the hall and bathroom. So there's a couple bits of sheeting to get done in the bathroom, which is getting done tomorrow. And then the plaster will be in the end of the week because he's wanting his money, because you know what plasterers are like. And so yeah, and that's the thing. Like my plaster, I've got, because the guys are like the painters and the plasterer can be sort of almost full time with the amount of work that we've got just now, so we can get them moving from one to the other. And it just means that the clients can come to us, they can get a source deal, because I do sourcing as well. So we find projects in Aberdeen that are right for, we've got a couple coming up. We've got one that's going to be a 1 to 2 bed conversion.
There's a 2 to 3 bed one that Nick was going to buy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, we came back to that again. I thought we'd forgotten about that.
Mr. Trick there, Nick. But yeah, so we can, from sourcing that and then getting on and getting the project, somebody can be sitting. Some people don't need to be in Aberdeen. You don't need to be hands-on. And, yes, I charge a fee, but is it worth it? Absolutely. Yeah. It's worth it that, you don't need to sit for hours, because I spend clients' money better than I spend my own, in all honesty. Like,
you love getting a good deal.
Yeah, I love getting a good deal. And I just make sure, like, I was raging today because, better not say this, but one of my trades phoned, they needed cable, but because he was in an area, he's like, oh, can you get it screw fixed? And I'm like, looking at the price, and I'm like, well, no, because I can get 4 times as much for 3 times the amount if I go to Edmonton. But anyway, found it at Tool Station next door, so got another tenner off it. So I was like, there you go.
I'm a wee bit like that as well sometimes with my properties that I manage. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite often trying to get the best. You want to get the best deal for your clients, and they'll appreciate that at the end of the day as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like at the weekend, so I took the weekend off, and I went down to Glasgow, spent time with family, my mum and stuff like that. And but I was actually coming back up. I didn't drive down. A friend was here and had taken me down, so I got the bus back up, and I literally spent 3 hours just ordering materials, because TradePoint had that 10% off at the weekend for TradePoint customers, so I got 20% off everything. So just messaged clients and said, that's all your paint bought, got it for this, because they're 10% off, and extra 10% off. So they're like, oh, thanks, because it's like you're looking after our money. And that's the thing, is I hate when I go over, like one of the guys said, Trish, it's not your money you're spending. And I was like, I know, but it may as well be.
No, that's a really good quality. I really like that. That's good.
So it is, trying to make those savings. And I one other tip that and I think this is what, you know, because I'm very rarely over budget unless there's something that's come out of the refurb, like the lintel and stuff like that. But when I'm doing my project budget sheet, I put the budget, so I give the client what we're going to be, and I price in things like silicone, I price in things like caulk, I price in things like the accessories for the bathroom, so all of that's included. And what I do is I put the budget price, and then I have a second column which is the actual price, and one doesn't change, so the budget stays the same for the whole of the project, and as I spend, I change it from red to black, and that way I can see on a running total how much I'm actually spending and where I'm going up or down from budget. So it's a good thing to keep me focused on it.
How difficult has been keeping on top of prices with price rises being quite considerable over the last almost a year?
Yeah, no, because there's certain things like, so again, to try and beat some of those things, and I know it sounds silly, things like, but there's things that you use on every single project. So things like silicone, things like caulk, decorator's caulk, what's the other things that I buy now? Like masking tape, because if we're doing spraying on paint, so masking tape and things. So what I've started doing now is I'm bulk buying them. So I'll buy like 48 tubes of Sticksol for if we're doing aqua panel. And then for the client, when they're getting billed, I'm like, how many tubes did we use? Right, we used 6. So they'll get 6, proportionately, pro rata for what that invoice is. They'll just get that. So there's certain things like that. If you are going to be doing multiple things, is buy some stock items. In terms of price rises, like housings recently, I think like every month we're putting things up. Like, for example, raging again, that I'm doing my own, but I was busy buying doors for everybody else, and I like the Dordogne doors. If it's we're on a certain budget, the Dordogne doors painted in a white or a colour with the ironmongery can look really smart. And they had a special.
Is that the ones with the slats that go up and down, vertical?
Yeah.
Aye, right.
They had a special on in May at £20 plus VAT, £24. So I buy as everybody else's, didn't buy my own. Came out, went to get £36. I'm like, that's like a third up in price.
Yeah.
So there's things like that. So there were things like that where I'd been caught out on budget, where I had put them in as that price, but then turned out it was higher. But whereas things like that, you can tend to pull in something elsewhere. I had a call yesterday with a client, so a recent project, and with the furniture and everything included, we were, I think it was 380 over budget. However, there'd been extras. There was extras in terms of we had to end up plastering the bathroom because the wall was loose. So we'd had to plaster that. And there was a couple of other things, the extras. So ended up, when you took the extras out of how much I was over budget, it was £30. So I think £30 on a 17,000 budget, not a lot to be off.
Very good going, eh? You're not in your 10% contingency on that one. No, that's good.
Exactly. So, and I think because I'm doing so many, and you're moving from one project to the other, and I've got the standard documentation for the projects as well, it's easy to say, oh, wait a minute, like things like just simple things like I used to put in £20 for the bathroom accessories, so the toilet roll holder, towel rail, bathrobe holder, but they are now £23. So there's a change there. So now when I'm putting in the £23. So I'm quite, like you asked me last week about those prices, and I was able to sort of rattle off what they were. And I think because I'm buying so much, and there's some things that I repeat buy, but then I think things like the spider light's quite a popular light. You're a fan of it as well. My electrician, not so much a fan.
You'd rather just a straightforward pendant.
But things like that. When I was first buying them, I wasn't that great a shopper, obviously, because I think the first one I paid £59 for, and now I'm like not paying any more than £29. That's £30 drop. So there's certain things that you can be flexible with. And
so Stephen question your prices quite a lot then. Is he a nightmare client to deal with, aye?
I didn't really say this, but no, he doesn't. But
Is he
like,
on it?
The laziest one.
now and again he'll question one thing. Generally my fee.
Just to keep in your toe so you think I'm looking at it.
No, but like I give a client, so the client gets the budget sheet, the project sheet with what the spend has been. And they also have a backup invoice for that as well. So they can see, like, if I'm spending £22.98, that's what they pay.
Yeah.
And so that's a different approach to from a standard, builder, where they would go in and say, your bathroom's £7.5 love, your kitchen's £4.5, your tiling on top of that's another £750 or whatever. Aye. I will buy the tiles, I will buy the grout, so I buy all the materials, so I don't have any of the trades markup on them. So I buy all of the materials, and eventually, if you're doing it enough, you know where to shop for the various different things. There will always be, it's always the little anomaly ones that aren't always the same. We put a fixing in behind the shower just to make sure, like, obviously we've got moisture resistant plasterboard in, but when we're putting the showers in, we now put in a specific tape, trying to get that specific tape just to make sure that it's a sort of double protection before you put in your whatever you put in the walls, whether it be tile or aqua panel, and your silicone, you've got that added layer. So it's that added layer that if anything does, if you at some point, you'll know yourself, Nick, tenants don't always look after things. Aye. And they don't always say that the silicone's, oh, so I picked it was black, so I picked it out. And water might penetrate down, so it's just giving it that extra layer. So there's sometimes things like that we need to sort of source.
What I love about this service from, like, what Trish provides as well is, like, I had a client that had sourced a property for a few months back, and got main contractor price from and put them onto a main contractor, and then the price difference between a main contractor, like charging the markup on obviously the materials, then his fee and all that kind of stuff, Trish worked out a whole lot cheaper, or not a whole lot cheaper, but certainly cheaper, including her project management fee, because there was no markups on anything. So, but from a point of view, like, me doing a renovation in Aberdeen, if I'm getting a main contractor in it, I'm still having to deal with the main contractor, so I'm effectively still a bit of a project manager, and I'm still have to keep up to date with the solutions and or kind of problems that arise and give solutions. Whereas Trish is the person on the ground doing that on site daily, doing that check-ins, making sure the material's there. So the people that think, oh, you can go and just get a main contractor to do what Trish is doing, it's actually worked. So because of what we're hearing now, that she's actually finding the cheaper prices for materials and going above and beyond the call of duty. Actually, the renovation costs actually work out a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So
as well, part of the project sheet as well that I do with clients is I have an issues and solutions section as well, so that if there's always going to be something that will come up, but we sort of just document that, and if there's something that's needed from the client, because maybe it's a choice of we can do this or we can do that, here's the cost implication of doing it this way, and here's the cost implication of doing it that way, but this will knock on in time. So we give that feedback, so that, and I'll just message a client and say, there's been an issue, can you look at the sheet and just let me know which, I'm looking for a comment from you as to what way you want to do. And generally they'll just pick up the phone or whatever, but then I'll just go in and update the file with what the conversation's been. And again, it's just that traceability of what's happened throughout the site.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk refurbs all day. I love talking about this stuff. So, I mean, you've got a wealth of knowledge there, Trish. Where can people reach out to you, and how do they get in touch with you? How can you help people if they want to work with you?
So I'm on Instagram as Trish Crooks, and I'm on LinkedIn as Trish Crooks. I don't use LinkedIn so much because I just found it took too much of my time. However, I can be reached there and I do see messages. And I'm on Facebook as Trish Crooks.
Excellent. And if somebody was to say, a networking event, what is it you do anyway? I mean, we've just talked about it there for the last hour, but how specifically can you help people, and what sort of clients are you looking for?
Yeah, so I can basically give clients a fully hands-off managed project, from sourcing the property right through to handing it over to the letting agent as a fully compliant rental property.
In Aberdeen specifically, or Aberdeen Greater?
In Aberdeen specifically, yeah.
Right, that's fine.
Aberdeen. Also, sorry, I forgot, because my company is Scale Property Solutions. So we're going to start putting some before and afters on there as well. So that'll be the goal, because I've been too busy to do it that I haven't really put it on.
Excellent. Yeah. And a huge thank you to you as well, personally, from myself and Stephen, for taking on the Aberdeen networking event as well. It's great to be working alongside you, and hope that all goes well for you. And we'll look forward to catching up with your own flip and refurbs as well. Be looking forward to
that. That's going to be lovely. I can't wait to do that one. It's nice
times.
to be able to put, just to put my own sort of mix into it there as well. So I'm doing that with friends from Dubai.
And if you're looking for a guest speaker, I'm sure Nick would volunteer to come to Aberdeen and be a guest speaker for you, Trish.
Yes.
I used to have that excuse that my car didn't have the range because I had the wee Nissan Leaf, but now I've not got that excuse anymore.
Yeah, so I think July, August. Yeah, Nick, I think we could have you up in September.
Oh my goodness, I'll be getting stoned when I come up to Aberdeen because I always slag it. They'll be I don't think I'll get a very warm welcome, but I will see.
You should come up and we'll take you around some refurbs and stuff and show you what.
I would love to. Actually, need to do it. I need to get out of my comfort zone because I see you guys doing good things up there. So,
I mean, I did a quick. I selected 3 projects and just looked to see what had happened, and these were higher end ones with higher end spends, and equity created 72,000 in less than a year.
Brilliant.
And just again, and that's only in 3 projects, Nick. So if you take that across, other multiple projects, and you're getting a cash flow and asset, it absolutely makes sense.
I just think I do think that it's got huge potential. I mean, I just think that the government need to be doing more to promote it as the kind of, renewables capital and bring that investment in. And I just think the way we're going about it at the moment by these fucking windfall taxes and all the rest of it is just going to put big companies off. Do you know what I mean? So,
I mean, BP have already put in 10 billion of investment, committed 10 billion of investment. There's the new renewables area over at Tullis. The port has also applied for free port status. But Nick, the time to buy is not when all of those things come into place. The time to buy is before those things come into place, because that's what pushes the
You're absolutely right. I mean, buy when it's down for sure. And but it's been down for a while, and I just don't see it coming up by much. That's the problem. But no, anyway.
Buy right anywhere, and buy right. Get your money out, then you've got a free cash flow and asset, or leave a few thousand in. You've still got a cash flow and asset that will give you capital growth when you're going to be keeping it for a long-term buy and hold.
Absolutely.
What you would be doing. So Nick,
I argue.
No, you can't argue.
I'm not going to start an argument. Well, that must be. We're up to about an hour, Trish. We'll need to wrap the interview now, unfortunately. But
well, honestly, Trish, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out and chatting to us and giving the listeners good value on renovations. And there were some cracking tips here. So cheers.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. So that's gold tipped.
Thanks, Trish.
Now the joint venture.
Thank you. I'll look to the venture.
Take care. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks again for listening to the Scottish Property Podcast. Hope you find that interview with Trish good. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I could talk about refurbs all day long. And, as always, guys, thanks very much for the support on the podcast.
Absolutely. And if you want to touch base with Trish and find out more about her and you're in the Aberdeen area, go reach out or go and get a ticket for the Aberdeen Property Networking event. Trish is hosting it a lot, along with Chris Minchin from Winchester Letting. So it's a really, really good event. She's got a good event going there.
Great. And we're also back with the rest of the networking events the first Wednesday of each month. Book your tickets on Eventbrite, and we'll hope to catch up with you at one of them. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks, guys.